And welcome everyone to the return of the EWA podcast. EWA podcast number 42. Hard to believe that we have been doing 42 of these now. It has been a long time since I've been back for this. My name is Craig. I am excited to be here and bring the podcast back to the EWA. Again, this is not like the Hash Pipe Report or any type of pay-per-view preview or recap. This is where I talk to the writers within the EWA, get to know them, get to learn a little bit about how they came to EWA and their time there, and if they've enjoyed it. And I'm guessing that the guest I have tonight, after Sunday's Civil War was posted, does not enjoy the EWA as much as he used to in the time leading up to it. Just a heads up, we were going to do a video chat together, but something's going on with his 1996 modem connection. I'm just getting a single frame of him every minute, and it just stays on that frame. So his video is not working, but it will change throughout the course of the podcast for the better, and it's just going to be a surprise. It could be a finger up his nose or up his butt. Who knows? But welcome to the EWA podcast, Dimitri. And there he is, frozen.
Hey.
Yeah, frozen. Welcome to EWA
Hello.
podcast, my friend, and thank you for being my first guest on the return. We've not had a chance. This is really the first chance we've had to talk in a medium like this. So this is pretty exciting. Let's start. Normally I like to start at the beginning, but with everything that happened on Sunday, let's start at the end. Civil War posted on Sunday. Look at that frame. All right, just sad Dimitri in that frame. I love it. So you do the secret role plays as Kevin Owens. What's your mindset heading into that match, knowing that, okay, I've got these three public ones as Omega, and that's kind of what everyone thinks that I'm doing, but I have these secret role plays for this character. Like, did you really anticipate that being the result for Kevin Owens? Did you really think that was a possibility as you headed into reading the results?
You know, I talked to people about this too. I had a select few people I let in on the secret. I had a feeling that what I had with Owens was it was pretty. There's something there, you know. I had to play the role with Kenny Omega. You know, he's my newer character. I have to start fresh with him. But knowing Kevin Owens, what he's done, what he's accomplished, what he's been through, I knew something was going to come to fruition with him, in a sense, you know.
Yeah, that you were going to get something out of bringing him back in a capacity like this.
Yes, absolutely.
But I'm not going to call you out, and I don't think Newt will call you out or nobody else will call you out about how you read the results. Did you go right to the end? Did you read them as they were coming up? Did you just skim as to see who won, or were you okay, Owens is in, I'm going to start reading shit now? How did you take in the results on Sunday?
So with Kenny being number 2 at the spot, I kind of was just reading from the start of the whole war going through, and I just kind of not skimmed through, but I was basically reading and taking in excerpts of what was important that was going on in there. Where Kenny was at the moment, who was coming in, and I was just kind of waiting. I was like, Kevin Owens is coming. Kevin Owens is coming. That's the big one. I wasn't really expecting much. Kenny, he's new. I had to, again, know my role with him, but I was basically reading throughout the whole thing, and I was kind of anticipating myself, just kind of treating myself to the whole war, and then waiting, and then seeing Kevin come in and seeing him come in and just take out all these guys, hit the stunner on Shark Boy, and then getting that close to the victory. It was just kind of the flow I went with. I had to sit down and kind of take it in.
Yeah. So you get to the end. Obviously, you don't know what the hell's going on. Second Doink involved, and Doink winds up eliminating you. I don't know. I mean, you might have just scrolled down and saw the picture.
I had a feeling.
Did you?
I had a feeling something was up. I had a feeling this is going to be really important for Kevin.
And it was.
It was definitely.
The runner-up position in Civil War, a place that many people have found themselves in the past. Kind of like, I'm sorry, it's kind of like a crossroads for a lot of people in the EWA to get to that point, and it really is a crossroads for a lot of writers and a lot of people who have been doing this in the EWA for a while, because it's like, okay, like you're right there on the cusp, like you can either take the next step or you can take a step back, and it's a really tough place to adapt and move from, because you have the
Hmm.
built-in story there, because you're the last guy out, and with everything that went around with the Doink and the Al Snow stuff, like you have the ability there. So the story is in place. Obviously, you're probably working through what's next for Kevin, but how do you feel about making that next move and trying to push him into the upper echelon from here?
So I think I won't say right now, but I think the puzzle is definitely there.
Mhm.
I think I just have to piece it together. Seeing as, Al, for people who don't know, Al Snow and Kevin Owens actually have some history.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
they both pinned the tag team champions at the 2020 Super Bowl and had to come together and be a team. And like a lot of people have said, that sometimes it's not the most normal path taken for people who have won the tag team championships at Super Bowl. Usually, some people dispute it. Usually, like it's the whole
right.
fiasco going on. They don't work out together. This case, they worked out. They try to work out together, and I think it went pretty well for the most part until they lost the titles to Pete Dunne and Kazuchika Okada at I think it was Slam five. No, it wasn't 500. It was at a Slam
Black
before.
Thought LLC. Yeah, it was in the
Yeah,
early summer.
yeah. So
But that was a different
and
iteration of Al Snow too.
yes, yeah, and that was a different iteration. And then uh, fast forward, Kevin Owens is a national champion,
Right.
and he's suddenly taken out by this masked man that's been going around, who would later, find out was Al Snow in the first place. Um, and that kind of paves the way for me to be like, so there's this animosity that's definitely like that hasn't been approached yet. It hasn't been really um portrayed yet by Kevin Owens, but I feel like something's there, and I'm just gonna say I don't think Kevin Owens is gonna take this lying down
Oh well. Yeah,
for
there's a
sure.
lot. There's a lot to build on there. But Al Snow probably going to have his eyes on moving forward from there. But I certainly think there's some
Totally.
stuff for you to build on. Now that we've talked about the end, let's talk about the beginning. Let's go back to, I believe it was early early winter 2019. Does that sound right? Or
No, I think it was. I think
2018?
it was. No, I want to say it was November of 2020. No, no. You might be right. I want to
I
say it
think
was
it's
November of
November.
2019.
Yeah, I think it was November 2019.
No, you're right. Yeah.
How did you find the EWA?
I just kind of was looking around. I had been involved in like this kind of like e-fetting for about maybe in 2010, I think, and
Oh,
I
okay. Wow,
stepped
so a
away from
long
it
time
for a
ago.
while.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. I was young. But I just kind of stopped doing it, and I lost a little bit of interest in wrestling for a little while, to be honest with you. And then I kind of got back into it, and I started getting interested. I was like, okay, I need to find somewhere an avenue for this to do something. And I asked around. I asked my friends to like help me out with searching, and then somebody just kind of posted a link, and they're like, hey, what do you think of this? And I looked at it, and it was the I think it was a website that you guys always post on for the voting.
Yeah.
I found that very website, and I looked through. I didn't really enjoy all the other websites that were on there, but then I found this one, and I was like, "Oh, hey, there's some actual history with this. They've been around for a while. Let me check these guys out." And from there on, I just signed up as Kevin Owens because I didn't see that anybody was playing him. That's one of my favorite wrestlers, so I was like, "Perfect, go with it."
Yeah, see, that's why the voting sites work. And whenever John bumps the thread, that's why you have to go click the links, because they
I
matter
got it. You got to.
to get these people who have been out of the game for so long and are looking for,
Shameless ad.
yeah, a means to get back into it. They do work. So make sure that you're clicking those whenever whenever John bumps it and you see him. Probably
Bump
John
it.
John will probably listen to this and then go bump it himself. And I'm
Bump
not
it.
I'm not talking about like you can't see. I'm doing the thing with my. You know what? Don't worry. You can watch the video back later.
I believe you.
It
Bump
doesn't
it.
really matter. Yeah, bump it, John. But no. So you show up at EWA, and man, this is like I ain't gonna do the thing where I pat myself on the back and give myself
Oh,
credit
do
for
it.
it. But
Go
like
ahead.
you took a very non-traditional entry route in because you came in, and I was in the midst of a Marty Skrull. Like kind of a pretty dominant title, not dominant, I guess. Like John and I had gone back and forth and traded the title a few times, but I wouldn't say dominant per se. As just Marty was kind of lost in like what to do in the lead up to Super Brawl. You had just joined, and I was like, hey, like, what if we just do this wild thing where like this guy I don't even know, and I think what's kind of funny is in this game it's a very small circle, so everybody kind of feels like they know each other, and if somebody new comes in and is kind of talented and somebody like myself takes to them, they're like, okay, like this is definitely like somebody that we know that's under a different name, you know what I mean? So like there was probably a little bit of that whenever you showed up, and I was like, hey, do you want to work with the world champion and do like a main event match at this upcoming pay-per-view? And I can't even imagine like what's going through your head, because
I'm like, what?
I couldn't imagine what was going through, like would have been going through my
Already?
head. Yeah, because I was just like, you know what, like let's just kind of. And we were working with Brett, who was doing stuff with Hangman Page, and like was starting to really build himself up. And I was like, yeah, like that. This guy, like, what if we just kind of threw him in the fire right off the bat and see
And not
what
to interrupt
happens?
you,
No, go
you
ahead.
mentioned Marty Scurll earlier. Wasn't it Buff Bagwell that you were the world champion at the time
Oh
with?
yeah, that's right, that's right. So it was
Yes.
2020.
Yes.
2019 was Skrull, and then
Okay, so I
2020.
wasn't okay.
Yeah,
Got it.
so it was.
Confusion out the window now.
I'll take a look here as you talk about the lead up to that. I'm gonna try and find that pay per
Okay.
view. But yeah, I was Buff Bagwell, and I was just like, hey, what if we bring this guy in? We had King of the Ring coming up. Let's do like a 6-man tag, and let's have you be like a part of it and see. Just yeah, it was Bagwell, Owens, and Page versus Jeremy Wyatt, Baron Corbin, and Lee. Is that Keith Lee? Is it Brody Lee?
No,
Okay,
Brody
yeah.
Lee.
So yeah, it was. I was 3 people in this matchup because I was
Man.
Corbin and Lee as well with Jeremy Wyatt. We were working with Elliot. Yeah, so we just had this 6-man tag match at King of the Ring where you're kind of rubbing elbows with Brett and Elliot and myself, like 3 guys who had been really established in the Fed for quite some time. Talk about just kind of the Hurricane and Rush and kind of what you learned in that initial arrival at the EWA and getting to work like in a high up match like this.
Well, first I made the rookie mistake of posting 3 RPs when I was only supposed to post 2,
Yeah.
and you called me out on that. Thank you for that, by the way.
That's
really.
That's what friends do. So.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. No. That was a mistake on my part, but I started learning just how those things worked for me. But I was definitely not expecting to be thrown into the loop this fast in my run. I was trying to like portray Kevin Owens as I wanted to, and I think from there on it kind of helped me out with um, giving me the confidence boost for him.
Yeah.
Um, it kind of made me think of Kevin Owens as like, oh, this guy is a machine. Like he will try to break himself if it means spiting the one guy or the 2 guys in this case that have wronged him from the beginning. Because like you said, King of the Ring was one of the first pay-per-views I was going into, and if you remember, I was with against you as Robert Roode, and I believe that was the first loss that I had to, where Alexa Bliss came in and kind of like, interrupted the whole thing, intercepted the whole match.
Yeah.
And from there on, it was like, oh, Kevin Owens hates like cheaters. He hates being interrupted. He hates all these like cheaters. He hates him. And then it just kind of evolved into a little more complicated, like a little more complex for him too as it went on. And it was fun. I really enjoyed having that spotlight on me, and I'm always grateful for it.
Yeah, it was definitely it was probably something that I wouldn't recommend doing again to people
No,
coming in. It's
no,
definitely it was a trial by fire type thing, and just to be at that level where you were teaming up with Brett and I, and maybe for the benefit, you were going up against me as well. And it wasn't a worked finish. Like we had an idea of,
Yeah.
we were gonna make it competitive, and then I role played on both sides as I would, but yeah, it was definitely like, hey kid, like Brett and I were just like, here's some stuff, and I say that because we ended up rolling that team on into Super Brawl. So that was your first
Yes.
Super Brawl experience where we took the 6-man team of Hanger, Buff, and Kevin Owens, and we went into Super Brawl that next month. And talk about your Super Brawl experience while I try and look up who our last partner was in that one. But yeah, you get your first taste of Super Brawl working with the same group of people, but it's a completely different thing. I think for that King of the Ring match, we had done some joint RPs, so you could kind of get like a taste of it, if I remember correctly, before heading into what was the giant Super Brawl match that had like characters crossing over completely.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I believe you're right. Um, the Super Brawl experience was amazing. I think it further cemented like Kevin's relationship with these guys, and to this day I'm still planning on um using that relationship for Owens and future role plays and stuff like that. But I do think it helped him out a lot with his characterization, how he interacts with these guys, how he develops them. You know, him and Adam Page were a little rocky at first through Rhett's RPs, and then the last time we saw those two guys together, the Hangman was world champion and Owens was national champion. They're celebrating together, and I think it was a great, great pavement um, for the new guy to test the waters, show his might, and then slowly and but surely get cemented into the EWA, or like like kind of like almost hazed into it in a
Oh
way.
yeah.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was hectic. The build up was great, and I just did not know what to expect when going into it. But all I knew was like, hey, I gotta try my best here. This is a big event, and I recognize that.
Yeah, and then you went into the match. You worked with us. You came out as one half of the tag team champions with Al
Hmm.
Snow. You've talked about that. We'll kind of leave that for you to use to build for your story. Then
Yes.
after losing the tag titles, you kind of go on for a bit. Then 4th of July in 2021, you win your first singles championship at the
Yes.
Red, White, and Bruise pay per view. Talk about the story you had leading up to that, the
Oh my God.
feud, and then talk about your feelings in winning that match there.
It was a wild ride to say the least. I had established that Owen's like a big fan of wrestling, that he's got all these people that he looks up to. And I had established before that too that Jericho was one of those guys that he looked up to. And come Super Brawl, here comes Jericho, and he starts his amazing writer, by the way. Terrific to work with. Will and I didn't really have a plan at that point because he had not become national champion yet. Um, so the only time that we had faced each other at that time was at Super Brawl, and then going forward, it was a little dry spell, or for that rivalry. Um, I wouldn't even say it was a rivalry at that point. It kind of didn't exist yet, but um, I forget what date or what the date was, but Will ends up winning the national championship, and I think it was at the time where I hadn't really
Yeah, I
written
think you
any
were
art
coming
at
off
that
the
point.
tag title loss around that time
Yeah,
too. Like it
yeah,
was
I
that
was
first
like,
pay per view.
yeah, and I was taking a little break from there. I didn't have any ideas go forward yet. Um, because my initial idea was to do something with Sammy Guevara, who I think you were writing at that time,
Right.
because of again his interference in the match where he lost the championship.
Mm-hmm.
But you were already going into a feud with somebody else at that point.
Tyler Breeze, I
Um,
believe. Yeah.
yes, and then so I was kind of at a loss. I didn't know where to go from there. And then Will messages me, and he's like, "Hey, like I've noticed that you've had a few shots at the national championship before. Um, one with Eddie Kingston, who Josh was writing at that point, and I had won the match, but it was by count out, I believe. And you don't get championships for count out, of course.
Wait, whoa. Okay, let's go back here.
What's up?
You don't get you don't get so you don't win championships on count out. When did that start? Is that like a new rule or?
I thought that was always a rule. That
Yeah,
wasn't
it
that a rule
is. Yeah,
since Dusty Rhodes?
yeah, it
Yeah,
is.
that was
Okay,
like a
I'm
famous.
just
Yeah.
Dimitri, you innocent child. I'm just fucking with you, please.
Okay.
Don't.
Anyway,
You're still getting hazed, boy.
I'm
Now
getting.
carry my bag in.
Sorry. I'm sorry, sir. Okay. Yeah, but again, a few shots at that. Kevin had won that match against Eddie Kingston, but he won it by countout, and then Super Bowl comes in, and Kevin pins Eddie Kingston again, but Eddie Kingston had already retained his championship, so it didn't count. So two shots, and he blew it in a sense almost, um, which was a good catalyst for this. And I think Will saw that, and he was like, "Hey, do you want to have a run and try and see if we can build up this whole feud with Jericho and Owens?" And I was like, absolutely, yes, let's do it. And throughout that time, it was just this back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, for about, I want to say, 3 months. It was a long storyline that was
Yeah.
going on, and it helped me develop like Kevin, like even more, to become the single star that he became that at that point. And red, white, and Bruce came in, and it was phenomenal. I had no idea that I was gonna come out on top. I just tried my best, and I was like, oh, I'm Will's gonna retain. He's gonna keep the course. Like, he's the one guy. He's a veteran. Like, I have nothing on this guy, and I end up winning. And I'm like, holy, I can't. I don't know if we can cuss on your podcast, but
I can. You can't.
damn. Okay.
Say whatever you want, man. You're
Holy,
fine.
holy schnitzels
Yeah,
was
shit.
my
Holy
reaction.
shit. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was so gratifying. We'll get into like my favorite role plays on there, but spoiler alert, that was like one of my favorite like moments in the EWA yet.
And I think that feeling, what you're talking about, is exactly what it's all about. I've been doing this for a long time. And again, this podcast isn't about me. I'm just talking about a relatable situation. My first win with Cody Rhodes was King of the Ring. I remember I was living in Kansas City. I was only up there for a year.
Mhm.
We had done 5 role plays that week. 5 role plays that
Oh
week
my god.
for the King of the Ring semis and finals. And I just remember I remember waking up. It was probably a Monday or Tuesday morning because the results and Newt had to read everything. And I just remember rolling over in bed and just like scrolling through my phone and just like oh, I made the finals. Okay, and then just like because that was my first achievement in EWA, and it was just like I don't know. It just felt like a sense of like I was there, you know.
Yeah.
And I think like you, it took me a while to get there, and I feel like my writing had come a long way, and it felt like the growth of me as a writer. And you know, while it is Newt that decides it still is vindication for quality writing and
He
getting that
definitely
victory.
sees it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I can totally relate to that, and that feeling is something that I think we all strive for, and I think it's the reason why we do this is because
Yeah.
of that feeling right there. Now let's talk about another feeling that I can relate to as well, and I think a lot of people can relate to. That championship run did not go like you probably wanted it to.
No, it did not. No. Um I think it was just a dry spell at that time. Like you said, a lot of people were already embroiled in a feud. We didn't have as many people as we have right now. And it was just a bad time for me, um, at that point. Both in the EWA and in real life at that point too. I had just gotten to a new job. Stuff was happening. It was all going really fast. So yeah, eventually I had to take a break. Before even that, too, I had a match with. I was supposed to defend for the first time against Chad Gable, and unfortunately they no showed for the whole feud. and that was just a really big bummer. I was because I had the ambition to like I said it with Kevin Owens too. I had the ambition to like raise the prestige of that championship, and fortunately, I didn't really get the chance to do it. Um, Not to say I didn't enjoy the run. I just think like could have gone better, and I
Yeah.
was always happy to have it. I'm always happy to tell the story about how I got it in the first place. It was one of the best things.
Yeah, so the championship relinquished, put up in the Chamber of Horrors match, which obviously Kevin Owens not a part of. Like you said, that was a rough time there, trying to get through it. It was kind of slim pickings
Hmm.
for late summer, early fall for EWA, and people were just trying to grab whoever they could to work with and kind of cling on to that and be like, hey, do you want to work like a 6 month feud, because I don't know what's gonna happen from here. And it was, you're right, it was, you look at the EWA now and you're like, how could it have ever been like that, but
Yeah.
back then, at that point you probably would have said, hey, and like we're gonna have 80 role plays for Civil War in April, and you'd be like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, like you're probably lying,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. Nice one. Nice one.
yeah. And those of us who have been here a long time have seen the ups and we've seen the downs, and you've kind of just transgressed through all of them and just kind of pull yourself through. And that was pretty rough one though, and there were definitely some
Especially for
conversations.
the women's division, man.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And the tag team division was just
Man,
absolutely, it was rough out there trying to
demolished.
find
Yeah.
something. So, but yeah, you stuck through it. Talk about your decision to come back. Your decision to come back not as Kevin Owens, and then kind of just that'll kind of catch us back up to Civil War as a whole.
Yeah. I mean, I came in. Kenny Omega was kind of somebody that I was eyeing for a while. That was somebody I was always interested in writing at some point. It was like in the middle of when I started writing Kevin Owens though, and somebody was already using him at that point. So I
Jeff,
was
yeah.
like, oh, I'll just focus on Kevin Owens. It's fine. But yeah, come I think early I want to say February. I think early February is when I decided to come back. Everything had started to settle for me. I started to get used to my schedule now, and I was like, "Hey, I think I have enough free time to, invest some more into the EWA again." Um,
A terrible decision.
but terrible. That's awful. But my thing was I didn't want to pick up Kevin again because I felt like if this guy's gonna come back, he needs to come back in a grand scale. There's only that's the only way for me. I've invested way too much time in Kevin. I've been, like had him go through too much. So
Yeah.
I was like, what's another way I could do this without going into Kevin or like tarnishing that return? And I
That's
noticed
when you came up with Doink the Clown.
Doink the Clown. Yes, the second Doink that entered in Civil War. No, I decided to go with Kenny Omega
Mm,
and just to get a fresh start, just to see if I could build that guy up because that
yeah.
was somebody I was always interested in role playing, and I got the chance to finally. So in the progress of that right now, um, but it was always fun. It was fun for me to come back. I was welcomed back with welcome arms, uh, and it's been fun for him so far, as early as his career has gone, and I am planning on doing some more with him. Maybe we'll
Okay.
see.
Well, you're not man enough to handle more than one character at a time. Have I not
Oh,
have I not taught you better than this, Dimitri?
oh, you'll see more of Kevin too. Don't worry.
Oh, I'm not worried about Kevin. It's Kenny that I'm worried about. Like
Oh
Kenny
no,
getting
Kenny's
dropped
gonna be.
off. Now Kevin's just the beautiful prom king who's come back and taken Dimitri's heart, and now Kenny Omega will be cast aside and forgotten about.
I won't spoil anything, but you're gonna see some crazy stuff with Kenny in the next few months.
I half for a half second that you're gonna be like, I'm not gonna spoil anything, but you are absolutely right. Fuck Kenny Omega. You're just like, I am done with him.
Kenny
Uh,
Omega sucks.
uh, I don't want to be like this, so I'm gonna try and pick my words wisely without again making it sound really dumb. But I see
Mission failed.
I see a lot of myself in you whenever you first came into EWA and
Oh,
the growth that you've had as a writer. Do you ever think about or go back and like maybe look at those early role plays that you had as Kevin and look at how far you've come, because you have come an extremely long way since those first role plays you posted in November of 2019,
2020.
2020.
Yeah. I have looked back at them before, and I was like, man, this guy is nowhere near the same person that he has become today.
Yeah,
It's been wild. Like, there's little hints of it there, but it's definitely not as characterized as before. Like I said, I I, I had started role playing a while ago for e-fetting in like 2010 and stuff like that. Like I said
mm-hmm.
before,
Yeah,
but it was way different before then. There was no characterization whatsoever. You literally like throw out moves, and the person has to sell it, and
yeah,
it was dumb. It's a whole fiasco. I'll get into it one day with you again. But other than that, it was nowhere near the same as EWA has done it. I didn't realize that you could characterize wrestlers in the way that the EWA has, or anywhere near that scale of like somebody like Joe Janela that you have, like
yeah,
the blank slate characters that you could
yeah.
basically do anything with, and uh, do your own spin and stuff like that. I had no idea that you could do that, and um, me discovering that and then slowly um, injecting my own interpretation into this has definitely um, been a work for me, and I am very proud of what I have made Kevin Owens today, as opposed to back in November of 2020 when he was just green and trying to dip his toes into everything.
I think it's more than that. I think it's more than just Kevin Owens coming a long way. I think it's Dimitri the writer coming a long way, and
Yeah,
I think
that too.
I think you've learned. Um, if anyone, if your RPs haven't improved since the day you arrived here, you really need to take a look back. And sometimes, man alive, I'm about ready to be old man on my soapbox here, but if
Nah.
you have done a good job of doing what I wish sometimes other people would do, because it's what I did, and it's what guys like Brett did, and it's what guys like Bryce and others have done. It's like,
Yeah, I remember you giving me like that tip too. It's just like, hey, stop doing all these CD role plays. We can do that. We can do that on shows.
yeah,
Just start make a story with him, and I've that has stuck with me for the longest time, and it has 100% helped me out through my
yeah,
run too. And
yeah,
I feel like a lot of people should go by that too. Like, just stop doing all these CDs. Like, it's okay to.
yeah. I
It's
agree.
it's
That's
fine, but you got to make a story for these people. I have to care. We have to care.
Yeah, I think the thing is too is like people do these CD role plays where they're like interview segments, and I'm like, that's the segment. Like, just submit that segment for the
Mm.
show,
I've
But
I've been guilty of doing that.
oh yeah,
I've been guilty of doing that for Kenny Omega recently too. But I try to do my own spin on it too, because we don't really
mm,
do all these like after post match like panels and
yeah,
stuff like that. So I decided to do something that's a
yeah,
little
like a little
special
New
like that.
Japan, yeah,
Yeah, like you could do that. Like that's
yeah,
cool.
for sure. But what I was gonna say too is like you have these writers now like John and like Corey and like these others that have been doing this for a long time and are the reason that they're at the top of the game. Guys like Jeff, and if you're not reading their role plays and if you're not taking stuff from them and if you're not blatantly ripping ideas off, but just like, oh, okay, like this is
This is how I should do it.
this is how you develop a character and this is how you develop a story. And I've talked about it at length. I'll talk about it very briefly here. My first title shot was against a guy named Teasy who was handling CM Punk, and he used to write these long soliloquies, and his action sequences were just these vibrant descriptions of the world that CM Punk was in. And I was just doing very basic stuff with Cody Rhodes, and I remember reading his stuff, and that's when it clicked with me. And I feel like that's when I took the biggest step in my EWA career, because I was like, holy shit, like he has CM Punk like as a person in this world
Yeah.
that is growing and going through these things as a person. And I was just having Cody Rhodes, go to the like he was just doing things for no reason, and there was no growth and there was no storytelling aspect to it. It was just Cody Rhodes in Situation A. And, you know, TZ beat me, and he had every right to beat me, but it made me grow so much as a writer that my EWA career took off. And I'm not telling people how to role play, and that's not it at all. Like, I've come way too far, and there's too many ways to do it to just be like, hey, this is the way you need to code your role plays, and here's what you need to do. But there is a lot that you can glean and a lot that you can learn by reading other people's work and not emulating it, but growing your character and developing them. I think I ventured out into the world of creator wrestler feds and stuff like that, and it can be a cool art and a cool and different way to present this product. But I think the best writing comes in you have these real life people that you are giving different stories to. And yeah, it almost sounds like creator wrestler, but it to me it's not, because you're developing Luther as this sympathetic character that while he runs a carnival, like, he's dealing with things that people in the world deal with, like a bad boss, and not, you know, and that's basically what it is for him, is like bad upper management at work that he can't rise above, but he's telling it in the vein of the story. And, you know, I think that's why I think like the real wrestler feds are just far and away more rewarding to writers and more fulfilling whenever you get to take the guys that you love and haven't maybe got the success that they've had in real life and do that with them.
It's almost like the in like Marvel Comics, like the main universe, and then the Ultimate Universe counterpart. I feel like that's what like EWA wrestling is. We're like the Ultimate Universe counterpart of like the main universe that we see, that we live in today. Like, it was just, it's wild to me.
And I've long had this idea of an E-Fed where it's superheroes like Batman and stuff that go into this. I would call it the neutrality chamber, which was this giant ball that like made their powers equal, and they would fight, and it would be like E-Feds with role play. So that was just an idea. You could go back and probably listen to like EWA podcast number 8, and I'm like, I want to do a superhero E-Fed with, like, I've been talking about this forever. So maybe one day I'll push forward with that. But so yeah, you've come along. Okay, you've come a long way as a writer. You kind of already briefly spoke about it. Talk about some of your favorite memories, favorite role plays, maybe a feud besides the one with Will that's kind of stuck out to you as something that you've really enjoyed.
You know, I haven't really talked about this one before, but I really would have enjoyed to see how Robert Roode and Kevin Owens would have feuded together
It's
at
Pastor
the
Bobby,
start.
yeah.
Yeah, Pastor Bobby. Sorry, glorious one, Bobby. Sorry, my bad. I really would have loved to see how that would have evolved, Kevin, and again in like another universe maybe where uh they got to, you know, duke it out at some point. Unfortunately, we didn't get to do that, but I loved what we had in mind for him so far. I love the it was getting intense at some point too.
Yeah.
It didn't happen. But yeah, other than that, that was one of my favorite feuds in the EWA yet. Besides, you know, the one with Will as Jericho. Um, and as far as moments go, I've already said like the national championship was one of my favorite moments. Um, but I think one of the moments that I had the most fun with, and I had no idea I would have the most fun. I told you about this too. Was the moment with when we built Snowens, Al Snow and Kevin Owens as tag team champions. I was having a blast with trying to make them work out together and trying to characterize them together. And I do also think that helped out Kevin as a character too, to gain relationships with people and stuff like that. You know, get friendships, work out as a tag team, cement himself as a fan favorite and stuff like that. And it was working out for a good minute until, you know, Black Thought LLC came in. Thanks, Sean. But yeah, I think those are probably one of my favorite moments in the EUA so far. Granted, you know, I'm still kind of only about a year into this Fed.
You're still a baby. Yeah.
Still a baby. I'm, you know, almost gonna be 2.
Still a baby. You got a long way to go, man. And
Yeah.
I hope that this is just the beginning of the great moments for you, because
Absolutely.
as someone that lived through that, there's nothing more fulfilling than being right on the cusp over and over, and then finally pushing through and breaking that barrier. And trust me, man, like there's no better feeling in this world than reading your name in big bold letters at the end of those results, and
Winner.
the feeling that comes with it. So I think
Yeah.
that you'll have that day in your future. EWA is really competitive right now. There's a lot of good stuff happening.
Oh my God, so much.
Yeah, there's a reason that Dylan was able to come back off a small hiatus and win at the level that he did. Jeff
Bastard.
doing some of his best work in his life, certainly in his EWA life, with the Apocalypto series last week. Just
Yeah.
stellar stuff. That it was just good world building that he did, and yeah, there's just a lot of good stuff going on. Are you enjoying anybody specifically stuff right now?
Right now, there's way too many people that I have to like say that I enjoyed right now so far. Um, but right now, I obviously we're feuding at the moment, but Brian has been a workhorse for a good minute now, and I really enjoy the impact that he has with Hook, with Shark Boy, with Ray Ripley. Even I've been reading his Ray Ripley stuff, and it's awesome. It's great. Um, and I've loved feuding with him as Kenny Omega and so far, and I'm just hoping that it only gets better from here. And again, you're going to see some crazy crap going on in the next few months with him and Kenny. It's going to be wild. I think you guys are. I think we're all going to really enjoy it. Um, Again, the Roman's handler. I'm so happy we have a Roman Reigns. That I'm glad to see that they're doing good with the character, and I want to see them evolve with that. Um, Glad Josh is back. So many people that I could mention.
And yet you fail to mention
Welcome back,
one
Craig.
specific.
Welcome back,
I
Craig.
wasn't talking about me, but I mean, I guess as long
I
as
just
we're
wanted to shrug the ego a little bit. Sorry.
have you had a chance to dip your toe into the women's division yet?
I have not.
Because you're sexist, or because
No.
no, it's not that.
No. I have not. I've.
It's tough. Like, I'm gonna bail you out here because it is tough, and it took me. I mean, dude, I've been here for like 12 years or whatever it is now, 11 years, and it took me about 7 years to finally have my first women's character, because it's just, I don't know, I didn't feel qualified to write about that stuff. Yeah, I don't know, it was weird.
It's a division of all these people who are striving for one championship, as opposed to the men's division who are striving for what, like 3, 4?
Yeah, I mean, and there's been women-only pay-per-views in the past that have done really well when the division was doing great
really
things
good.
and stuff.
Yeah.
And I feel like my run with Ember last year was in a part where like that winning that women's Civil War, and it was a competitive one, and that was one of the few times that I've been really surprised by my own outcome. So yeah, like it's had its ups and downs. The women's division and the tag team division sees a lot of ebbing and flowing. So yeah,
for sure.
In time, you'll probably find yourself in the women's division with somebody, but
you might be seeing the EST at some point. Maybe.
Oh, you think so?
Ooh, maybe.
This guy's just
little hint, tease.
Dropping hints out here. Like we're not a breaking news podcast, Dimitri.
No,
that's not.
No, we're not.
Not our. It's you.
I just like to toot my own horn. Okay.
You're supposed to come on and toot my horn, and that's not a euphemism or sexual,
earlier.
but we can make it that way.
No, please. We're good. We're okay.
So we got the future in store for you now. We are into the next phase post Civil War. 80+ role plays coming out. Kevin Owens. We'll see if he takes the next step. Looking forward to that. Kenny Omega. You say there's some crazy stuff coming out with him. So a lot of stuff happening for Dimitri here in the very near future. Before we wind up the podcast here, we'll do two things. We'll bring back an oldie but a goodie, and I don't have the audio clip for it, and it used to be amazing. I won't put you on the spot, Dimitri, and I'm not going to edit this, so you have to answer immediately. This is an oldie but a goodie from the EWA universe. It's called Penis in Uranus.
What?
Yeah, it's called Penis and Uranus, and that's a line from the Rock's promo, like back in the '90s. And I used to have a
Oh,
clip. Like if you go listen to old podcasts, I had a clip where it was him just saying it 10 times in a row, and he would go, "Penis and Uranus, penis and Uranus, penis and Uranus." Like the people who've been around forever are marking out right now. Penis and Uranus. It's one thing in the EWA that you wish would change or would be done different. What is one change or one thing you don't like? What doesn't butter your biscuit in the EWA? Say it, and Newt will be mad. Say it. Say it.
Doink the Clown.
Okay, that's not the right answer. And you know that's not the right answer.
um, I, it's hard to say. Feel like sometimes it would be. I think it would be beneficial if we just step back a little bit from the goofiness sometimes. I'm not saying we have to be 100% serious.
Okay.
I think it's good. But sometimes it kind of, like for me personally, like Kevin Owens is a very serious character for me.
Yeah.
I feel like if the goofiness was toned down just a little bit.
Are you talking about like on the shows themselves?
Well, just like moments, like, I don't know. Like it's hard to say. Like there's a lot that goes on. Like the second Doink the Clown thing was like pretty wild, but I think it benefited a lot. I think that was good. I feel like if it made sense, if it made a lot of sense, definitely go for it. But if it's like a weird like I don't know, like I want to go back to my like the tag team championship match that I had with Elliot when he was writing I want to say Fowler and Draper.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've read that
This shit got
that match.
crazy. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Like it led to a lot of good jokes and stuff like that, but it was like, man, what the is going on right now?
So you hate Newt's match results.
I
So
wouldn't
there's
say
your
hate. I think hate's a little bit of a strong word.
wow. Normally the penis in Uranus is just like sometimes people's font code is hard to read, and you're just like Newt's matches are just a pain in my ass. Okay, like
no.
I'm just
There goes
kidding.
my title shot.
There goes your push immediately. No. So yeah, that's your penis and Uranus, and it's one that I can totally understand. Maybe it happens at times, but listen, you write so many matches per week. Occasionally, some of that stuff is going to slip through, and Newt does a great job of writing towards the role plays and characters that are written as well.
Yeah.
Last thing before we get going, then, is there anything you would like to say to the EWA universe here? God, Newt hates it whenever I say EWA universe too. So there goes my push now. So
don't say belt.
Yeah.
I think everybody's doing great right now. I pray that you guys stick around. Please stick around and just stick it out. Just do your best. And I really want us all to work together as a unit to make the future of the EWA look amazing, look bright, because it's looking really good right now. And I think we couldn't do it without all of you guys that are working at it right now, all these workhorses that are going at it, all these veterans that are keeping it alive, that are doing their best. I feel like we have a bright future ahead of us for the EWA and hopefully for next generation and stuff like that. So hopefully you guys can stick together and be strong. Just don't give up.
Dimitri, you are one of the purest souls here in the EWA. I don't think there's a bad or mean bone in your body, and I think everybody that has an interaction with you always comes out of it with a positive outlook. And this podcast has been no different. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure, man. I think people are going to really enjoy this, and hopefully give you some positive feedback and see the kind of person that you are. One frame every 2 minutes. Just see the kind of person that
my dial-up internet
that you are, that comes through there. This has been the EWA Podcast. If you'd like to come on to the EWA Podcast, I'm not sure the time frame that I'm going to be bringing these out, whether it's once a week, every 2 weeks, once a month, what my plan is right now, but I definitely do want to start rolling these out. I'd like to have some people on that I haven't had on in the past, but I'd like to bring on some people who haven't been on in a long time too and are doing some stuff with some different characters as you kind of see the format now. And those of you who haven't seen it know what this podcast is all about. Dimitri, once again, thank you for coming on, man, and good luck going forward. Look forward to reading your work and seeing you do great things from here. Again, this has been the EWA podcast. Thank you for watching. We will see you next time.